And the entire ordeal led Beata Kowalski to take her own life in January 2017. And the Kowalski family is blaming Johns Hopkins for her death. They're suing for $220 million. Company representatives tell us that they're planning to bring in those heavy equipment, including what they call a sidewinder. It's sort of like a crane that would help lift up that propane tank and the other cars back on the upright side and set them on the track. Organizers for the event tell me around 60 international race teams and drivers are coming to Sarasota this weekend to show off their boating skills. And thousands of spectators with lots of money to spend are also coming to see them do just that. Sarasota police say the driver first crashed into a pole and then his vehicle careened into this business. Luckily, there were no pets inside, but the ongoing renovations to the business are now set back. Along this more than 20-mile stretch of trail, pedestrians and cyclists encounter speeding vehicles at various intersections. They also have to walk across some isolated wooded areas. So now there's more sheriff deputies patrolling the trail to keep them safe. Around 500 volunteers have filled up backpacks like this one with all the necessities and essentials that kids would need. And today they're giving them away for free. Right now, crews are pulling in the wreckage of the plane right behind me here. They're pulling it into the Hygo Park and they're going to lift it out of the water with a crane, after which they will transport it to the NTSB Center in Jacksonville. The search has already kicked off. Some of the boats are already in the water. Now, this renewed search for Tanya Whip is being organized by a group called We Are the Essentials. Now, it's a group made up of mostly law enforcement and folks with military backgrounds who are knowledgeable about the kind of search that is needed for this process. Division for Crimes Against Children say they got involved once the child came forward to a family member. Now, detectives say they are concerned that there may be other victims. First this morning on the stand was a pediatric and forensic psychiatrist who evaluated the Kowalski family after Maya's stay at the hospital and after her mother died of suicide. When the incoming interim president of New College of Florida resumes his position in March, Richard Cochran will be earning more than twice the salary amount that the previous president, Dr. Patricia Oker, was earning. All right, well, right now the stadium is empty, and that's because the participants are right now registering outside. And sooner or later, once they're done with that registration, they're going to pack in here. And as you can see, it's already standing by the obstacle courses that they're going to run here today. This is one of the world's most famous obstacle races. There have been more than 200 of them in more than 40 countries. And of course, right now we have one of those stops here in the Tampa Bay. There are 31 freight containers stacked like Lego bricks to make this firehouse. It allows firefighters to experience different simulated scenarios for their fire and rescue training. For example, a fully kitted firefighter as big as Anthony here can make his way through a hole as small as this. Maya Kowalski was only 10 at the time of her ordeal, now 17. She says she recalls vividly how she was treated differently from other children at the hospital, and in her own words, stripped from her family.
I was a ballerina at one point. I was a gymnast and then a figure skater.
Maya Kowalski describing what life was like before she was diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome.
It's like I was born with gasoline deep within my body, and some incident, whether it was that sprained ankle or the severe asthma attack, was like a match and acted as a catalyst that just set my body on fire, and I have to live with this burning pain.
And taking jurors through a timeline of her illness before her diagnosis, from the first symptoms around 2015. The family even seeking treatment in Mexico before she ended up at Johns Hopkins All Children's in October 2016.
None of the doctors knew what was wrong with me at the time, so they just assumed that strengthening my muscles would maybe help get me to walking again.
Maya was sheltered at the hospital under DCF orders and kept from her family for 87 days.
When I expressed to them a symptom or like my pain, they would say, "No, you're making it up," or "It's in your head."
And then there was the social worker.
At one point, the social worker, Kathy Beatty, said that my mom was in a mental institution. They were trying to even manipulate me into thinking that my mom was sick and therefore making me sick, even though it wasn't true.
Mom Beata accused of child abuse, Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and over-medicating her with ketamine, later taking her own life wearing a bracelet Maya made.
I found out later that she wore it every single day, and when she was found in the garage, she was still wearing it. And I have it on my neck right now. It was actually so unbelievably cruel, the amount of time they allocated for me to spend with my family after hearing such awful news.
And tonight, the hospital continuing to maintain that its staff was only acting on DCF orders, following those orders, and acting in the interest of the child. Now, tomorrow, testimonies do continue here at the Sarasota courts. The family, Kowalski family that is, suing for $220 million. Live in Venice, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay. After waking up to an alarming text message Saturday about Hamas's terrorist attacks in southern Israel, Gillian Kay says she's been on edge ever since, constantly looking for news about the people of Kibbutz Naraz.
My stepson Sagi, who lives there with his wife Avital and their 2 kids, she's also pregnant and due in December. My stepson Sagi is missing.
According to Kay, Sagi was last seen by his pregnant wife and children, securing them in a bunker, and then seen fending off the terrorists during the hours-long siege. Tonight, 240 of the community's 400 residents are either missing or were killed. Sagi's status is unknown.
We're desperately trying to find out, like so many other families, where he is, what happened to him. Is he in Gaza with Hamas?
Sagi's family eventually rescued and, along with survivors, evacuated. Tonight, Kay's husband is in Tel Aviv trying to find his son.
Just to get information, to know that Sagi is okay. Of course, to bring him home, but to know he's okay. We know how strong he is. He's strong, heart of a lion.
This must be traumatizing for you and the family.
I can't even imagine what they're feeling right now, having witnessed it, having been there, having had to walk outside their homes and see bodies on the ground, people they know, they love, they grew up with.
What is your wider hope for this situation?
What a great question. My hope is that in some way, young people, old people, Palestinians, Israelis, I don't care who they are, will stop dying. Because this hate just breeds more hate.
In Sarasota, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay. This recent kidnapping is yet another symptom of the growing security concern in Haiti, and local missionaries who work with and depend on agape flights are not exempt from that danger.
The gang violence has made my life miserable. This has been going on ever since they killed Jovenel Moise.
Mark Stockland has lived in rural Haiti for 15 years, operating the Haiti Bible Mission. It can take his team between 6 to 8 hours to get to supplies in the main city, Port-au-Prince. As the last 2 years have seen a rise in violence and kidnappings, he stepped up security to protect the vulnerable mission compound and escort vehicles.
I have a bulletproof SUV, and we have to pay armed guards and Haitian military, SWAT with AK-47s and, AR-15s to take us to Port-au-Prince because it's too dangerous to go through port.
Because of the work you do interacting with the local population there, it sort of makes you a moving target, right?
For me, it just makes me realize that every time my kids go downtown, I just need to make sure that, there isn't some informant, calling somebody, hey, there's a white kid here, there's, a family here. So, but I always have to be ready, and that puts a little stress, just knowing at any moment something could happen, I guess.
Kidnappings and abductions are not unusual these days in Haiti. It's really, Port-au-Prince is known now as the kidnap capital of the world.
Venice-based Agape Flights is dubbed a lifeline for the missionaries with its multiple supply and shuttle runs. Last year, a mob mistook their plane for one of the gangs and set it on fire.
We really try to help our missionaries understand that they have to be very cautious in their movements, but they've been called to be there. And so many of our long-term missionaries who have been in Haiti for 40-plus years understand there is still hope for Haiti.
Kenya's president wants to send 1,000 police to help neutralize the gangs and keep the peace.
The Haitian people are hurting, but it also takes a toll on us because the money that we would have to help people, it's costing us 3 times more to do what we used to do.
In Venice, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay. Starting tomorrow, look out for these bright yellow Teslas. They're offering point-to-point rides from places in downtown Tampa. Think of them as your modern-day yellow cabs, only this time they're all electric powered and right here in downtown Tampa.
How cool is it that we get to drive Teslas around downtown Tampa, right? So I'm not saying that was a major motivator, but it's not a bad deal.
It's a new, distinct way of getting around.
Moving swiftly through the streets of downtown Tampa. That's what we're doing.
For just $2 per person, up to 4 riders can dash between 20 downtown hubs emission-free.
We have 7 neighborhoods in downtown, so this gives you the opportunity to come into downtown, stay in one spot with your vehicle, then bounce around via Dash.
We're doing it with sustainability and with minimal environmental impact to the area.
This service coming on the heels of Hillsborough County's plans to add more EV charge stations throughout the area. This morning, the county's transportation planning organization presented policy recommendations, including adding charging spaces for drivers with disability access in parking garages and at multi-family housing developments, as well as transitioning public transportation to electric. EV use in the area has doubled dramatically since 2008, now with around 500 chargers for public use.
And that is something that we've been doing at the city. You know, we're going more and more with our fleet to electric vehicles. It's just one of the many, many steps that we can take towards reducing our carbon footprint here in the city of Tampa.
It's hard not to be excited, as I keep saying, that there's so much energy here in downtown Tampa.
Now, to allow for adjustments and hiccups that are typical with rollouts like this, Dash will launch its operation tomorrow with limited hours from noon to 11. And then if things go as planned, it will shift to full-time operation Monday through Saturday from 7 to 11, and then on Sundays from noon to 9 p.m. There are traces of that incident from last night, including this bullet hole here on this sign. And if you follow me over here, you can see yet another bullet hole on this wall. It's just another extreme example of what neighbors say is a growing concern about short-term rentals in their neighborhood.
It was around 12:30 that I wake up to all this screaming, loud noise, and then all of a sudden there is shotguns, and it was so scary. Bam, bam, bam.
Neighbor Manuel Chipote said he'd heard at least 6 gunshots coming from guests at a party at this home on Jackson Drive. The party had spilled onto the streets, and in the 30 years that he's lived here, he said he had never seen anything like it.
I live 2 houses from here, and it was very, very loud, and I was scared. I said, my gosh, what's going on now in our peaceful neighborhood?
Police say the incident happened around 1 a.m. with 2 people taken to a local hospital with minor injuries. Monday morning, a police drone searched to see if there was any injured person unaccounted for. Neighbors say their community is being overrun by short-term rentals, or what they call hotel houses.
They have reduced the number of people to be only 12, but there's houses with big swimming pools, parties. It's like 30 people that come in there and disturbing our residential neighborhood, peaceful lives that we have had.
It's absolutely unacceptable to come somewhere that isn't your home and to disrespect our city.
Sarasota police say the incident is isolated and rare, especially for a vacation rental. They say this is the only shooting incident on Lido Key this year.
That just shows you how rare of an occurrence a shooting in the middle of the night on a Sunday of all nights is to occur there.
Neighbors hope this would spur tighter regulations that would place restrictions on short-term rentals.
Someone could have been killed. Innocent bystanders, innocent people that is taking care of their business, being shot in the street for nothing.
In Sarasota, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay. With just 3 weeks on the job, Sarasota's new superintendent says he's ready for school.
It has been a wonderful transition. It's been a very supportive community.
He's new to the position after his predecessor, Brennan Asplin, made a surprise announcement that he was stepping down last year. Asplin butted heads with the school board over issues he said were driven by politics and the pandemic, all of which played out publicly at school board meetings. The new superintendent hopes for a smoother tenure leading the district.
It's going to take some time to come in and listen and learn. I think it's incumbent upon any effective leader to understand the strengths of the school district.
With an expected 49,000 students, a jump of 3,000 more than last year, such growth also highlights other growing pains. One of the key challenges many districts in Florida are facing is a teacher shortage. How are you dealing with that situation?
Well, we're not immune to it. I mean, all school districts are facing that. We are right at about 100 vacancies total, and that includes instructional and non-instructional. I would say currently we have about 80 teachers, classroom teachers that we're looking to fill. We are processing every day, and we have a game plan.
That game plan also includes capital projects and mitigating the impact a lack of affordable housing has on recruitment. But at the fore of this academic year, what teachers can or can't teach in the classroom. So there's been a new directive from the state about AP psychology, and then there's also concerns about history instructions. How are you navigating that issue?
The DOE stance on AP Psych is that we can teach that course in its entirety and stay within the state laws. And so we believe in Sarasota that we also can do that as well.
In Sarasota, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay. Good evening. Today, jurors agreeing with the Kowalski family that staff conduct was extreme and outrageous when dad Jack Kowalski took Maya to the ER in October 2016, only to have her taken into state custody and sheltered there, kept away from her family for 87 days.
We, the jury, return the following verdict. Claim 1, false imprisonment, October 7th through October 13th, 2016, Maya Kowalski.
A courtroom overrun by emotions as the 6-person jury agreed with the family on all 7 claims.
The Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital falsely imprisoned Maya Kowalski without legal authority under circumstances that were unreasonable and unwarranted between October 18th and October 20th, 2016. Yes.
They also found All Children's Hospital liable for malpractice, battery, the wrongful death of Maya's mother Beata, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. In total, the jury awarding the family around $212 million in compensation, including for future economic loss, long-term trauma, and medical care.
Based on Catherine Beatty's hugging, patting, kissing, and placing Maya Kowalski on her lap. $8 million.
Lawyers for All Children's Hospital say this case will have a chilling effect on mandatory reporters of child abuse. They disagree with the verdict and plan to pursue an appeal claiming clear and prejudicial errors throughout the trial and deliberate conduct by the plaintiff's counsel that misled the jury.
Juror number 1, is this your verdict?
Yes, it is.
And we have the full statement from All Children's Hospital on our website, 10tampabay.com. But the Kowalski family could also be getting more money. Right now, the judge is still discussing punitive damages, and we'll have details about that coming up tonight at 6. For now, live in Venice, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay.
Why we tell the story.
That's the question at the center of this award-winning Caribbean calypso tale, set in the early post-colonial French island of Antilles. It's a coming-of-age story of a dark-skinned young peasant girl named Timoon, who falls in love with the light-skinned biracial son of a wealthy elite family.
Colorism has been something that has been around for so long, and I have to work 3 times harder than someone maybe his color.
Orphaned and adopted after a hurricane, Timoon learns tough life lessons on her journey to discover love and purpose.
Everyone is here for a reason. So to know that and put that inside of another little black girl somewhere, that you're here for a purpose and you're here for a reason, whatever that may be, that's something that can be a real takeaway from this show.
Southwest Florida adores this space because it really helps the walls to fall down. We have an opportunity to brighten up our corner of the world and bring more understanding.
For founder Nate Jacobs, the purpose of such a theater institution is not only to create spaces for artists of color, but to serve as a steward for such Black-centered stories and history, often overlooked by mainstream institutions or inaccessible to smaller communities.
I hear the conversations in the hallways. They say, "Oh my God, I feel at home at this theater." If we don't tell our stories, who will? Nobody else is responsible for keeping that culture alive.
We want to make people feel things, you know, they should leave out of this theater feeling something.
And to answer the question why?
Love is why, grief is why, hope is why, Faith is why you are why we tell the story. And to the music of they got, we dance.
In Sarasota, Adaure Achumba, 10 Tampa Bay.
And the West Coast Black Theater Troupe has only 5 more showings of Once on This Island this week. Saturday afternoon's show is the only one that still has tickets available. You can find more on 10tampabay.com.